tribe. When it rains, we don't run now. Life is getting better. Hey, now we walk with our heads high. Hey, the troubles come, but they never last. We in a fast lane. We feeling good in our spirit. We know you gotta hear it. Hey. When it rains, we don't run now. Life is getting better. Hey. We in a fast lane. We feeling good in our spirit. We know you gotta hear it. Good morning, tribe. Yeah. Life is getting better.
Hey. Morning, tribe. We in here.
Pushing through. Okay. Hey, hey. When it rains, we don't run now. Life is getting better. Hey. We in a fast lane. Hey. Good morning. Hey, tribe. Yeah. We feeling good in the morning. Hey. Life is getting better. We in a fast lane. Yeah. Life is getting better. So when it rains, we don't run now. Hey. Hey. Yeah. We feeling good in the morning. Hey. Yeah. We feeling good in the morning. We feeling good in the morning. When it rains, we don't run now. Life is getting better. Yeah. We in the fast lane. We feeling good in our spirit. We know you gotta hear it. Hey. We had to learn to surrender. It's the only way. Had no idea we were going through an ascension. Yeah, we going through ascension. We going through ascension. Hey, life is getting better. We in a fast lane. Hey. We're feeling good in the morning. Hey. You ever be thankful to wake up in the morning? It's like, we're feeling good in the morning. Hey. Go through ascension. Hey. The mask is off. Hey. Mask off. Hey. We in the fast lane. the fast lane. Our life is getting better. Feeling good in our spirit. We know you gotta hear it. Hey. Cause when it rains, we don't run now. Life is getting better. You ever been afraid of the rain? Not no more. And we walk with our heads high. Hey. The troubles come, but they never last. We in the fast lane. Hey, hey. We in the fast lane. The trouble come, but they never last. We in the fast lane. Hey. When it rains, we don't run now. Life is getting better. Hey. Yeah. Life is getting better. My life is getting better. Hey. We feeling good in our spirit. I know that you can hear it. Hey. Going through ascension.
Okay, try.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well in positive energy and attracting the life you desire because it's your birthright. Okay. Of course, we're coming through with another reading for you guys. Take the message how it resonates in your life. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And don't forget, if you love the video, to run your girl and your boy up with some hearts. Okay. All praise to the Most High God and ashe to the ancestors. Okay. Sending you guys so much love. Okay.
Love it, love it, love it. God bless everyone this morning. I pray everyone is in good spirits and with good spirits and pushing through. So today I got a download.
Okay, come
and
with
it's
it.
more or less a prayer, and it's from the Book of Laws.
Okay.
I call this the Book of Laws.
That's what I would say.
Right? Basic instructions before leaving Earth. So we're going to pull a verse from there. And this verse that we pulling from here is out of the book of Psalms, right? So this is a book of a warrior, right? And I want to say this over my collective, the collective that's connected to us. I'm be coming from Psalms 31, verse 18. And it says, "Let lying lips be put to silence, which speak grievous things proudly and contemptuously against the righteous." So I want that to be our prayer this morning. And I feel like, even as I was reading this and making this prayer, Psalms 31, verse 18, I can say that I feel God has already put forth people are silent. You know, it's a silence right now. It's not a whole lot. Like, you think people, no, people they not doing a lot like they was. Because it's hard to now. You need see by you being consistent with your movement, a thing in motion, it stays in motion. So by you continuously, by you continuously staying in motion, right? You don't put a silence to the naysayers. You don't put a silence to the rumors, the spiritual enemies, the spirits. Let's deal with the spirits. Forget the people. All right, let's just look at everything as a spirit, right? The spirits we fight with, not the people. So we don't get. And also, you know what else Spirit gave me when it said, "Let them be put to silence who speak contemptuous things against the righteous." This is also for those that criticize the righteous who fall short. Like, when people criticize you for your walk and they come at you for your practices and all of that, they don't know your relationship with God. Can't nobody deem you righteous because they see you with a crystal on one day. Can't nobody deem you unrighteous because they see you drawing closer to nature, because they see you practicing. Nobody has the authority to deem you unrighteous. So God is putting a silence to that kind of energy. because that happens as well. Like, you know, the righteous are the righteous, right? And it says that God won't forsake them. So even if a person is in a fallen state, if God deemed that person righteous, they're still righteous.
Well, Jesus said he was here for the sinners, right? Not the ones that are already saved. He wanted the sinners anyway, so.
That kind of energy.
You know, the miscreants,
The miscreants.
The miscreants, there we go.
Indeed, definitely. That kind of energy right there, right? And nobody's saying, speaking forth and trying to persuade you to be like Jesus, right? That's what the Council of Leosa did. They wanted us. I want to encourage you to be like yourself, and being like your true self is going to liken you into Jesus and Buddha and a lot of the other people that walked in the same energy as Jesus walked in, right? We just, you know, just know people are not able to do as much as they were doing. Because people were doing a lot. Over the course of this last 2 years, I know it was a lot going on.
Well, also, too, you know, I feel like because the collective has made a conscious decision to do the right things, that the curse, you know, Proverbs tells us that the curse, the hex, only works if you deserve it. So, you know, at first, a lot of us were deserving of these things, right? Maybe because we weren't living 100% how we should be living, right? So the curse was able to work. Well, now that you have chosen to change the timeline, you have began to quantum shift, quantum hop. As you make better decisions, it's changing your timeline. And therefore, you know, life is playing out exactly how it should. The hex, the curse can no longer work because guess what? You're doing the right things. And when you do the right things, it puts a shield of protection over you, right? So a lot of you guys, you know, be proud of yourself for, you know, keeping yourself protected, right? By doing the right things, you know, by not taking the shortcut, by not, you know, matching energy, right? So a lot of you guys have been able to overcome some of these curses that were on you because of the decisions and choices that you made.
And, you know, I hear a lot of people like, yo, they always talking about this curses and stuff like, well, that's what's going on. You know, that's what's truly going on. So it's not a thing like we choose to talk about certain things. We step to the plate to give you what God gives us intuitively. And what comes out is what comes out. And what we see is what we see.
That's real. You know, I was thinking about how many bloodlines were destroyed because they were cursed as a bloodline, right? And so the whole entire bloodline had to be destroyed. However, in our situation, we were spared. We were given grace, right? We were given mercy. And therefore, you know, we should be proud of ourselves because we were, you know, some of us do come from bloodlines that were supposed to be destroyed because we, you know, the bloodline refused to do the right thing over and over again.
And you know,
right?
you know
so,
how
generational curse breakers.
You know how I know and understand that you're not lying? I'm the last carrier of my father's last name. I was the last male that had it. It's feminines that carry it, right? And this is why I was able to inherit many gifts. It's simply because I stepped into the role. Like it was, and think about it. I'm from a great dynasty of people, right? However it's been broke down, we all come, even if you got an inkling of divinity, because divinity has hid in certain bloodlines throughout the annals of time. I'm talking about the essence of God is in some people's bloodline. Just like the essence of the demonic is in some bloodlines, you have God wrapped up in certain bloodlines. And, you know, throughout my life, at an early age, I realized I'm the last one with the last name.
Yeah.
You know? So
it was imperative for you to do what you're doing right now.
To become a right. So that, you know, I mean, I have sons now that have, you know, that has my last name. But at the same time, even if my life would have been, if God, you know, wouldn't have preserved me beyond some of the things I did in my life, that would have been the end.
There it is, because then they wouldn't be able to see you flourishing into God, into what God wanted you to be, right? Which will encourage them to be what they're supposed to be. So, you know, I think that's very good information for us to remember that, you know, a lot of us, we were supposed to be destroyed a long time ago, right? But the grace, the mercy, the calling over our lives, you know, us making a choice in the beginning because it was predestined, us making a choice to come into some of these families that, you know, were going to do us wrong, to come into some of these friendships that weren't going to be great, for us to be not great people at certain times so we can learn these lessons for right now, because right now is the time that matters. Like, you know, we have been preparing our entire lives for right now. You know, they did a lot of movements back in the day, but like, you know, this is a whole new movement. It's like, you know, they had the Old Testament, the New Testament. Well, guess what? We right now is the time. You know, everything that you have been going through in life is to prepare you for right now. You know, a lot of things are unfolding. If you pay attention, you don't have to really do a whole bunch of searching, because God will reveal to you what's going on right now in real time. And I feel like right now in real time, you can see things are being revealed. You are prepared for this time. So I know it's a lot of things going on. Be proud of yourself. Continue to be courageous. Continue to have no fear. You know, the media really wants you in fear right now about everything, right? That your 7-year-old child has to go to work, and, you know, all these different things that they love to do to intimidate the collective. Well, I want you to know that right now is not a time to be in fear. You know, be proud of where you are, because you have been prepared for this time right now.
And, you know, it's amazing that you said that. You speaking about the Old Testament and the New Testament. Well, do you know that a testament is carried in the blood?
That's right.
The testament is in the blood that you carry. Like when Christ came, remember they asked him, they was like, what type of power do you speak in? He wasn't the only one that they did that to.
Right.
They did that to, I could speak of a man that came during our time, like, I mean, a few generations back, but his name was Mahatma Gandhi, right? Mahatma Gandhi walked in the same spirit and energy that Jesus Christ walked in. I'm talking about, this was like in the 80s. Okay. You know, he walked, and he was assassinated by a Hindu fanatic, right? But they assassinated him to take his physical body away, because he was a world peacemaker. He was a man that didn't even have a gun, but had control over militias. Like, they would listen to him because he was deemed a holy man. Mahatma carried a testament in his blood, the same way Christ carried, the same way you and I, we carry a testament, and it's in your blood.
That's real.
So it's what you have to deliver. That's why I feel Spirit led me to Psalm 31:18, where it says, let them be silent who speak contemptuously against the righteous, right? It's too, like, you know, it's so many people out here that I really feel sorry for, and my heart goes out to. And it's those people that are stuck in a place of in between and confusion. It's like you feel yourself awakening, and you want to get a crystal, you want to light an incense, you want to tap in, you want to speak to your ancestors, but you being criticized by people, and it's a hurtful place to be in. Well, God is going to silence that, because you still a righteous being, right? No matter if you find yourself in a fallen state, or a place where you feel awake, it's really just for you to open up and tap back into yourself. Like,
that's real, because we literally, it's literally, we fall down but we get up.
That kind of strong energy. Yeah.
Imagine, you know, we were studying, you know, Adam and Eve, and think about when they were kicked out of the garden. You know, they fell down so many times, because you have to think, you come from, you know, and some may say it's a place, some may say it's not, right? But let's just imagine it's a place, right? Imagine being a being that is translucent and just full of energy and just freedom and just so much life, right? And you being thrown away from what you know, right? And now having to survive. You know, you fall down in those kind of instances. But the good thing is, you know, I had to think, because I used to be like, well, why does God, you know, because I had questions too. If God is real, why does God allow us to go through so many things and challenges? And, you know, I had to really figure out this answer. And I'm like, okay, well, it only makes sense. If you are not able to fall down and feel that separation, you'll never understand what the true connection is, right? Because we fall down, but we truly do get back. God literally picks his people back up.
And see, it's like, what the high priestess is speaking about is she's really giving you the degree of Adam and Eve, but it's not from the Bible. This is Adam and Eve from what they call the Apocrypha, right? Like, it's like the hidden books, and in that book, we listened to we read a little bit of it, right? And it was like something that we kind of both was familiar with. But do you know that when Adam and Eve lost their divinity, their body went through a series of changes where they now had to experience the elements. Like, maybe perhaps before their body, they didn't have to, their body was like, think about maybe some lizards that can change with the environment. Well, that was the state that Adam and Eve were in, because they was ethereal. They still had an ethereal lifespan, right? And then they fell from grace, of course. But in their fall from grace, they also attempted to unalive themselves
several times, but
God wouldn't allow it. But the reason what he was doing was he was trying to make them formidable to live in a state that wasn't ethereal. See, they were now, they confined themselves by their own actions to a certain realm of existence, and they needed time to adjust to it. And it's kind of like the same way when you look at it.
With us,
it's the same way.
It's like the same energy, and that's why I spoke about it, because I was just thinking about us as, the human race, and, be proud of yourself for the work that you put in. Now, if you ain't doing no work, don't sit up here and be proud of nothing. You better push yourself to do something. However, if you've been out here doing the work, you should be proud of yourself. How many times have you literally thought about, it would just be easier if I could just be away from here, right? That thought comes across your mind, but you have been chosen, because it's like God will not, you will fall, but he will not allow you to just lay there. It's like, you have to get up. You must get up. You have things to do. And, it's like you could have been fighting against this at one time. And now I feel like, when it rains, we don't run now. Life is getting better. We're learning how to deal with certain situations. We're understanding that some of our shortcomings were our fault. Some of them, hey, it was generational. But, we're learning that life is getting better. As long as you put in the effort, life will get better, right? Now, if you're not doing anything, you can't expect any type of results. I'm not here to give you any magic trick to tell you that if you're doing, if you don't do anything, life is going to be great. That's not true. Every prophet I've seen, they put in work. I'm talking about sometimes they were exhausted, right? However, we know that, joy comes in the morning. So be proud of where you are. Stop worrying so much about what's to come. It's a lot going on, right? Stay focused, stay grounded, okay?
Also, and in the demonstration of Adam and Eve, right, in the Apocrypha literature, one thing that I realized, before they sinned, according to the book of Adam and Eve, before they sinned, there was no nighttime. So when they sinned,
they got sent to that cave.
Night fell, right? God, they rearranged. They got kicked out the Garden of Eden, so they were now in kind of like a wilderness. So 12 hours of night was approaching them, and it was a cave, right? And they had to go in because now, the beast and everything, they were going to hunt. So they were scared to go in the cave, right? They didn't want to go into the cave. So when they went into the cave, this shows the extreme of the demonic. When Adam and Eve actually went into the cave, it says that the demonic was able to mimic the sun and a heavenly symphony. Like they were singing outside the cave, right? All as one. This is in the book of Adam and Eve, right? The devil was singing and the light was shining in the cave. So Adam was like, oh, they beings of light, right? It was deception. So what happened was Adam fell into his intuition, Eve as well, and God revealed to them, nah, that's not spirits of light. It's for you to endure the darkness of the cave because this is now a part of your
Right.
life. This is the result of your own actions. So you have to be able to go into
Sure.
the cave, and then God told him it's only gonna last for 12 hours, right? So effectively, right? That's the same way with us. That like the Adam and Eve. Go check it out. Read into it. Read the actual book of Adam and Eve, right? And it gives you a degree. It sheds light on a lot, and like the caves in our life, you gotta be willing to walk in them.
That's real, and it also reveals, how deceiving the enemy truly is. The enemy truly wears a mask, right? And it's crazy because, when the enemy came, mind you, he couldn't come in the cave because, evil cannot come in unless it's invited. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Sinners, but it's kind of like that energy.
I swear, I think Michael B. Jordan.
He probably got it from this. He probably got it from the book of Adam and Eve.
No doubt.
that kind of energy. But the demon, it cannot come in unless invited, right? So that's why it's always very important for you to protect your home and who comes in your home. Once they cross that threshold, they have to be invited, right? So that's number one to pay attention to. Number two, evil stood at the door looking beautiful and illuminating of light, right? However, Adam had to use his discernment and prayer, and God had to reveal that, no, look, this is not right. But it was crazy because once it was revealed to Adam, the mask was removed, and they said that, the enemy was so ugly that it was scary, like how evil can just shapeshift and hide in things that appear to be beautiful. That's why beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. Right? But the enemy is so good at like shape-shifting and appearing one way, so you really have to use your discernment. It makes me think about real life, how the enemy shows up at the door, but the enemy truly cannot get in unless we invite it in, right? And a lot of times we invite the enemy in without even realizing what's going on. So, be protective of your space and of your energy, and don't be fooled by everything that, everything on the surface. There's so many things out here that are illusions nowadays. They have filters and all kinds of beauty magic and all kinds of things that, when you see a person in real life, they look nothing like they do online. Just even clothes. You can order clothes, that you see on a Instagram model, and you get them, and the material is totally different. That's the world we live in. It's full of illusions.
No doubt. And one of the major illusions is this right here. Let's say, by happenstance, you let the devil in your house, or you let the devil in your life, right?
By invite only.
Now, say you done that. Say you welcome the devil into your life, right? Now you got to connect with a higher power to get him out of your house. Because some people, I think that a lot of people, they think that they connect with a higher power to get him out of your house. Because some people, I think that a lot of people, they think that they are doomed because they made an error, or you're not doomed.
Right.
Like, don't let spirits of foul spirits convince you.
Right.
Even if you've done something wrong to somebody, right? Like, because somebody, people play around with spell work. Let's be real, a lot of y'all connected to us. Somewhere along the line, you did something, right? But listen, I want to explain to you. The spirits that you entertain, right, they don't own your will. Although they will try to convince you that they do. There's no such thing as selling your soul.
Right,
you don't own it.
Right.
It's not for sale.
There it is.
You can't. Only thing you could do is let a spirit convince you that you doomed because you went through the act of selling your soul or whatever that may be, right? But I'm here to tell you, if you got something in your life and you feel like it's a demon that can't move, you gotta introduce it harder to a higher power.
That's real.
Effectively, you gotta reach for something that has authority over it, because obviously you may not.
The enemy is so tricky. You'll notice, like, even some of the most powerful evil people. So I'll mention someone like Mr. Crawley. I'll just say that, right? So someone as evil as Mr. Crawley, when he was transitioning, he even called out for mercy.
Yeah,
right?
He did. He actually has seen, wow, every time I think about this guy, right, is a channel that I push back, right, with Mr. Crowley. And the reason why is because at the finish line, see, he had done some things in this world. He had tapped into some things, right? And you know, he tapped into some things. But at the end, he regretted it because he said, what have I done? What is going on right now? This is at the point of transition. Mr. Crowley, right? So we don't want to live our life in that way. We don't want to live, you want to be checking in with God. You want to be at least in a position where you're trying to balance out your light and your dark energy. Like, you know, you want to be in a position where you're trying to at least balance things out and not letting over things. Because I look at people like Mr. Levy, Mr. Crowley. I look at these people and I be like, man, it's amazing how far they allowed these spirits to take them that far.
All the way to the chambers of death, right?
All the way to, you know, a bad place. And it's because they let their intentions, you know, like,
and that's what happens, you know, and that's why it's so important for you on your journey to remain humble, to remain, you know, doing the right things, because as you know, I'm gonna tell you, God will bless you with power, with knowledge, you know, with all the right things that you need to get His will completed. What happens is some people obtain this energy and they use it for the wrong reasons, right? And so that's when it becomes, you know, these powerful witches and warlocks and these people that do all of these things in the dark, because yeah, they do have power. Why? It was God given, but guess what? They use their free will to take the power and do wrong with it. And so now consequences have to, you know, have to be paid. So, you know, continue to try to do the right things, right? You know, give yourself some grace and be proud of yourself every time you make the right decision. It's so easy to go out here and be reckless. It's so easy to go out here and cuss somebody out, put your hands on somebody, right? But it's hard to do the right thing. So be proud of yourself, you know. You know, I remember one time, like, if people would do something to me, I felt like I had to, you know, I got to come hard. I'm looking to hit you as low as, you know, I can go, because that's how petty I was. I ain't gonna lie. You know, I was one of those people that I felt like, you know, if you attack me, I have to attack you so low that you're gonna cry or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But now I understand that when I was doing those kind of things, it was really me that was getting hit low, right? Because really, I was allowing myself to be outside of what God wanted me to be, because I am an example. I'm a leader. You know, I'm a representation of being right. And so when I do things like that, it puts me on the wrong side, right? And I notice that when I do the right things, I'm blessed. You know, I don't have to worry about things, you know. Problems come, but guess what? Solutions come up, right? You know, it's easier to solve problems when I'm in my right mind. I'm doing what God wants me to do, because I notice that every time a problem comes, we're able to come up with a solution, right?
That's right. I was sitting here thinking as you were talking, and I was like, I used to be the kind of person that I used to think like, I used to think I would be the one enduring, like, you know, like I would, I don't know, you know, I guess I could say a victim role, but not really a victim role though, because I was always very much aware that spiritually, you know, in the spirit realm, I had certain abilities, right? So because, you know, even when done wrong, I will always be able to have that assurance that, like, this shit ain't gonna work this way. Like, but you know, I had to realize and begin to separate myself from people, because I would literally watch people get into this situation with me, right? And I would watch them get beat on spiritually.
That's real.
And I didn't understand then. I really didn't understand who I was, so I didn't understand what was going on. I just knew I was always a person that people looked at and asked God, why is he always, what was going on? I just knew I was always a person that people looked at and asked God, why is he always okay?
You know,
or why does he always seem to, But then I had to realize, see, God gave me insight, and God was like, "You don't want to do this with your life." And I said, I had to ask God, like, well, what am I doing, right? And God let me know, you creating a spiritual karma, like you creating a, and I was like, well, why? You know what I'm saying? I'm literally talking to myself, like, well, how? When I normally wait for people to do me wrong, and then I move accordingly, right?
Right,
And
facts,
God was
facts.
like, don't do that to your life because you're baiting people in
Oh my gosh.
to spiritual oblivion, right? And I had to realize, like, okay, damn, like, I had to claim responsibility for some destruction
You
that
know,
happened to other people who I allowed to come close to me, close enough to think that they could hurt me in certain ways, and then end up being them.
yeah,
And I had to realize, like, I had to start pulling myself away.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's very important too, right? What's like. I don't care what anybody say. Everyone knows what's inside of them, right? And sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes we have to take responsibility because we know the powers that roll with us. Like you know who you roll with. You may not have known exactly who you roll with. However, you knew you roll with something. You knew it was something greater to you, something greater in you, something greater about you. So it's definitely our responsibility at this point, because to whom much is given, much is required. So it's definitely our responsibility at this point to know that certain people, we can love them, but we definitely cannot have them in our space. Why? Because they will get hurt. And if we are really compassionate people, if we are really people that are trying to do right, we know that certain people cannot be around us because the things that they do are going to get them hurt.
And thank you, Spirit. God just sent me.
It's our responsibility.
God sent me a download. Spirit is talking to me, right? As we going through this, and this is important. I'm understanding in this moment why it's so dangerous for us to let people get connected to us. For when our spirits that's with us wear their life out, then we can't be trusted to move beyond. You know why? Because to move beyond requires you to be connected to more people. Mm-hmm. So if God can trust you to control your spirits that roll with you on your bloodline, your ancestry, see, that's different than what you think is the Holy Spirit. Okay, I understand that we have a good spirit. Mm-hmm. But do you understand you have vengeful protectors that move with you? Mm-hmm. So you gotta keep yourself clean. Once God sees that you gotta keep yourself clean. Once God sees that you have temperance. Like you can say, I ain't gonna get involved with that person for their sake. Because I already know that they're going to try me.
And I know is a good word.
I know that I've seen this happen before. Because sometimes we are a bit gullible, especially to protect it. God keeps us in a place sometimes where we don't really know a certain level of darkness and deception, right? And therein lies your true connection. Like with some people, they just been exposed to too much darkness in their heart. But then you have people that no matter how much darkness they went through, it's that place of naive, it's that place of innocence. And those are the people that get done wrong, but those are the people that have them ancestral spirits that come and they crush people's life, right? And do you really want to ask yourself, because Spirit says, say this and back out, do you really want to be responsible for not being in control of your spirits, right? And allowing people to come into your life and ruin their life.
That's so real.
As your life goes on. Because as accountability is going to fall in that matter. Like, you're going to begin to ask yourself, why am I doing this,
Mm-hmm. I was sitting here thinking too, and Spirit says that, God was saying to me, like, also, I keep hearing, to whom much is given, much is required. It is your responsibility as well to make sure that you're surrounding yourself around the right people, because just as light as you are, and as happy and as glowing and as positive as you are, think about when you become negative. Think about all the times that you've been around the wrong people and low vibrations. Think about how nasty you can get, because let me tell you, a divine being has a balance. Like just as nice as you can be just as nasty, right? So it's very, right. So it's very important for you to keep yourself balanced and grounded and responsible for the people that you keep around you. If you know Tammy is causing you to be acting crazy and cursing and going off and making you feel all red in the spirit, your cheeks red, your face all squished up, you're angry, then Tammy should not be allowed to be in your spiritual energy, right? At this point, we have to be so responsible that we understand that Tammy can't be in this energy right here, because I know, number one, if Tammy is in my energy and she does things to me, she's going to be destroyed because of the things I roll with. Number two, I know that if Tammy is in my energy, it's a possibility that she can put me in demon time, right? Because those spirits, they love to tickle that little piece right there that's already irritated, right? That little piece of skin you got hanging off, they want to come and pull it, right? So you have to be responsible for what you allow in your space. I'm hearing boundaries.
God has given me a download, and it's a shift of gears, but it's very important because it came in strong. It's for divine feminine, and it's about, I want you to understand something. For those of you who have children, and you look back and you probably like, why did I have a child by this person, right? I want to explain something that has taken place, and it's good that God has given revelation. Some of these masculines, right, their seed is divine. Mm-hmm. Now, their life might not have amounted to a lot, because the devil will always attack the most divine. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, you got literal gods and kings that sign contracts in the ethers, and they came into this world and they was born in the projects. Mm-hmm. They was born in the alleys. They was born out the bandos. Mm-hmm. But they was meant to really reach destiny. Mm-hmm. But see, the devil came with a strong attack. You had the Reagan administration. You had all of these different things, right? Now, so
the agenda of broken homes.
You had the agendas, right, that fought against. Larry Hoover had a King Alpha's list, and the number one degree on the King Alpha's list was the downfall of the Black Messiah. So what they were trying to do, they was trying to kill the seed. All right, now listen, this is important. Particularly for my divine feminines that got this disdain in your heart for the fathers of your children, you need to remove that disdain and understand that it was all meant for you to give birth to the seed of divinity. Mm-hmm. That spark, because even the ones that you have disdain for, they have a spark. Mm-hmm. Like, you might look back on them and you might be like, man, he failed in every area of life. He could be a bum, he could be a drunk, he could be all this, but it's a divine spark, even if it's no more than a child that you birthed, right? So when you remove the resentment away from you and you reach your purpose, you allow the child to reach destiny. And this is for the divine masculine, young newborns, the young children, right? They are scheduled to make an impact. They're going to meet the angels. When the angels walk down in their generation, because that's where we headed to. Mm-hmm. See, AI is called the demerge. It's a central manifestation of a being, right? You got all these beings that's trying to exist in this realm. Everybody want in on this realm. For instance, think about it. It's gold in the hills of the Congos, and you think that these beings don't want to live in? They want in. They been want to in. Like the giants, they want to exist again. Other energies, they want to exist again. But the divine masculines that's being born, God said they scheduled to meet with the angels when they gonna walk down on this. They have to. They did it before. Mm-hmm. This is how there's no. It don't take a rocket scientist to see that ethereal beings built pyramids. Mm-hmm. Come on now. Wow. That's why it can't be figured out. With so much science and technology, nobody can explain that. That says within itself, that's why, because the science is ethereal. It can't be explained. But this energy, right, remove the resentment and understand that God used many of you to give birth to the seeds of divinity, right? So the job was done. You understand me? Even though the man failed, and even though your baby father might not be somebody who you respect and all of that, okay, those could be, but God's plan was that the seed go on. So as long as he delivered that seed, that means the devil didn't win. See, your divine masculine seed is going to be a reflection of the highest quality of the masculine that didn't reach their potential. That's where the divine masculine newborn, when the mommy grabbed purpose, the mother is the first teacher of the child. Remember that. Not the father, it's the mother.
I just was reminded, God just reminded me to remind you guys that, you know, don't be in the energy of rejecting a good word. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to accept every piece of advice or information that you're given. However, remember that, you know, angels do come down and manifest as humans. And a reminder, if you remember when Abraham, 3 men showed up, right? And they manifested in human flesh, and they walked up, and he just happened to, you know, show them courtesy and, you know, offer them hospitality. However, one of the angels was supposed to be God himself, and then it was 2 other angels, right? Make sure that, you know, when people are coming and giving you random little wisdom, God uses people, right, that look like all different kind of people. A lot of times I see angels manifesting like homeless, or people that may look like they don't, you know, a person that looks like, how could this person give me a word, right? So I don't know, I've been really feeling a connection with angels. The angels are guidance, they are assistants, and I feel like God is really using his angels right now. So make sure that you're paying attention to the words that people are giving you. When you're hearing confirmations, it's not for nothing. You know, everything is for something. There's a use for everything that's being said. There, even in things that you may not agree with. I don't know. I'm just feeling like a very powerful ethereal energy, and you know, it's so important to remember that those angels manifest just as human flesh. You know, you wouldn't be able to tell unless they were in like their spiritual form, which you probably be able to tell through their eyes and different things like that.
We can't. You know, it's crazy that you going that deep, and I want to chime in because she's so accurate that it's scary. Like the spirit realm and the natural realm, the spirit realm is not designed. Spirits are not designed to exist in this realm, right? So when they hear when they come here, and people is, you're never going to see a person walk lit with a spirit all day long, because this physical body is not designed for that, right? It's not designed. Although you do have, like, you know, you speak of the Holy Spirit, which is a portion of God illuminated in you that connects to, that's a different type of existence. We talking about pure spirit beings, like they not made to exist. So when they take hold of people, it's oftentimes for a purpose, and it's oftentimes it has an effect on the body, particularly when it's a foul spirit, right? But you know, angels, they come down, right? Let's say a man is homeless. Why would this man be a perfect vessel for an angel to deliver a message through? Because the man is already living halfway in and halfway out, right? If a man lives in the elements, that puts him closer to ethereal realms. So when a man or a woman, they live like that, when God got a message, the same way when the devil got a message, right? This vessel, it can be used by the spirit realm. That's good or for bad.
Beer, wine, and spirits, right? That's the perfect.
Like what she was saying, when Abraham saw the angels, they looked like regular men, which means that they were probably men who were of a sinful nature. But yet and still the divine had a word to give, so it manifested. That's the same way that angels come. But there will come a time, like, you know, we live in a 4th dimension now, mostly, where realms begin to mesh. This is why, you know, spiritual influence is so heavy. It's because the realms are meshing together. Like, you know, that was the design the whole time. Eventually, it's going to be an energy that's going to be suitable for angels to step in this realm in their ethereal form, where you know you can see it happening if you pay attention to simply what man is like. Man is working with these spirits to bring this into fruition. You know, so.
Yes, y'all. So, yep. Yeah, real deep stuff, right? You know, so I just thought that that was very important because I've been, you know, I don't know, I've been feeling this energy like a lot of people. Guidance, I'm hearing guidance, you know, you are being guided because I don't know if there's someone, I feel like there's someone in the energy and I don't know if you feel like you're not being guided or something like that, but you are, you know, everything that you do, you're being guided. I feel like sometimes you may be turning away from the guidance. You know how we do. We reject the guidance when it's not going the way that we want it to go in our human nature, but you know, you are being guided and sometimes you have to understand, you know, your guidance is the other way.
Yeah, and somebody, even for my masculines and particularly, you know, don't allow people to demonize the beautiful things about you, right? A lot of stuff that people try to demonize, that's the place where God resides at, in those areas, right? Because they invisible to man. That kind of energy ain't nobody's business, right? That's why God has elect. You know, the Bible speaks about God's elect, right? They elect is beyond chosen. Elect is something that's different, right? Like, and you know, like it breaks it down. It says like many are called, few are chosen. But then beyond the chosen, you have God's elect individuals, and they oftentimes bear. They have a peculiarness to them. Their personality shouldn't fit in. If I'm close to God, or God gave me an essence that's close to Him, it should be a point where I'm pretty much separating from other people and other things that's not vibrating. Because like God is so deeper than religion, y'all. I have learned that, you know, God is so much bigger than the definition that we toe tag Him with. And some people, you can't experience God because you live in life in a prison. You allowing people to tell you this. You trying to find out, is this witchcraft? You trying to find out if you still holier than thou. You trying
just
to
stay in
find
your
out,
lane. Stay in your lane.
instead of just resonating with the voice of God.
Right, just keep your faith because that's the main thing right now. You know, so many people want to label you and put you in so many different boxes, but just keep your faith. You don't have to have necessarily a label. Like, you know, people want to put so many labels on everything. Just be you. Just be who God wants. Necessarily a label. Like, you know, people want to put so many labels on everything. Just be you. Just be who God wants you to be, right? Keep your relationship with God pure and raw and real and authentic, and do what you say you're going to do. Keep your promises to God, right? And don't worry about what's going on around you. That's what's wrong. Promises to God, right? And don't worry about what's going on around you. That's what's wrong. You know, we worried about everything that was going on around us for so long that many of us, we lost ourselves at some point. And now that you have worked so hard to figure out who you are again, to find where you come from, where you belong, where your bloodline is from, right? Those kind of things. It's important that we hold on to these things.
And you know, in regards to this, the titles and all of that, do you know in every religion, the people that gave the religious titles to every religion, they were never supported by the people that the religion's supposed to be about. Like Muhammad didn't make Islam. Buddha didn't call his people Buddhists. Jesus didn't call his people Christians. None of that. That was man that did that, right? If you really tap into the energy of these people, they was trying to push humanity along to a point of evolution so that people can see. Jesus wanted people to get to God.
Right.
Buddha wanted people to reach peace. You know, Mohammed, they wanted people to reach, Haile Selassie, they wanted people to reach peace, right? That was the agenda. And that is the agenda. That is the mission. That is the God. You know, God is me personally, you know, I found and came to understand that God is very much above every title that they put
That's real.
on God.
We can't comprehend. You know, we wouldn't even be able to comprehend. You know what God, who God truly is, right?
I think it's one of those things where now I begin to understand why the old Hebrews never spoke his name. I understand that now, right? I believe some people say that to breathe in and to breathe out is to say the
Yeah.
name of God, right? Yeah, right. I truly believe that, right? I do. I don't believe that all of these stipulations that man has placed on. I believe that's what keeps us away from God, right? Listen,
Division.
do you know that you will be God or devil according to what you intend on doing? If you know you a devil, you know you a damn devil. If you know you doing devilish things, then you know that you a devil.
That's real.
If you know that you fight to be balanced and you try to do what's right and you know in your heart, your intentions, you God. That's it. You want, because if you trying to be right out here, you gonna see beyond a veil. Things are going. You're gonna begin to see what make you rich is free.
That's real.
When you becoming godly, you realize what really is making you rich. Does now when you with the demonic, you really begin to think what's gonna make me rich is this material. That's a good place to start if you want to know where you at and who you serve.
That's real.
Because the name you spit ain't got nothing to do with who you are and what you serving. That's why people slander, kill,
But is
murder,
it-
and destroy in the name of every craft, every thank you, Spirit, every religion, right, that you give me. I can point you to a place where they begin to do things that were contrary in the name of that religion. Why? Because they begin to work with alternative spirits. Right inside the religion, they adapt alternative spirits. And now, who cares about the name on the door, right? The spirit is in control now. So people can say whatever, but it's another spirit there. You understand? It's about that. Now, you got places that people deem dark and unrighteous, but when you go in there, it's people really striving to help people with the gifts that they have. Some people they do readings. They do they do different things that are unordinary, right? But yet and still they be having their intentions are pure. I'd rather have a person that has pure intention.
That's real, because when we do things, we only have either a ill intention or a good intention. There's only two ways. Like when we do whatever we do, there's an intention behind it, whether it's good or bad. That's a great way to determine who you are and what you're rolling with and what
No
you're
doubt.
standing for, right? When I do things, are my intentions to hurt people? You know, are my intentions to get ahead of people? Are my intentions to block people? Or when I do things, are my intentions to show love, to show honor, to show that I'm loyal, to show that, you know, I'm willing to help, right? That right there is a great way to judge where you lie, right? Your intentions. What are the intentions in your heart when you do things, right? And that's what we should be thinking about every time that we do things. Like, you know, all right, so this person sent me a text message going crazy, right? So do I respond with the intention to make them feel how I feel, or do I not respond at all because I know that if I respond, it's not going to be the best response? So maybe I'm going to just leave this one on red. What? Oh.
I had something that I had to say to him. I didn't know how to say it. That's the first time I had to get a message on live like that. But yeah, your intentions, right? And as well, study the intentions of others, right? Like it's like I feel like, we at a place now, y'all, where we really do have to let that verse sink in. I'm going to go back to it. It was Psalms 31 and 18. And it said, let them be silenced who speak contemptuously about the righteous, right? Basically, that's what the verse says, right? And I feel like let's begin to just like study people's intentions and make sure you're right, right? Like if you, cause I feel like somebody condemning themselves, right? They heard that a man said something about people with crystals, and now it's 1,000,001 people holding their crystals like, I don't know, should I throw it out? Should I? If you feel like that, you shouldn't have it anyhow. You're not strong enough. You're not strong enough for that. If you let somebody use the book of Enoch to come and do that to you, you're not strong enough for that. Your knowledge is limited. Or you would know that you've been, listen, those type of things are for the weak-minded. You got to know what you're doing, right? When I go out and make my prayer, you know, sometimes if I feel like it, I take off this. I take off my crystal. Sometimes I take them off. Sometimes I kneel down on the ground and I pray to the Most High, right? And then sometimes I sit down. I give honor to my ancestors. I build with them. Sometimes I put my howlite stone on, my crystal on, and I feel the connectivity. It gives communication, right? I'm a whole son of God. Nobody can question me. Nobody can come and tell me anything about that because it's first of all, I have effectively removed the anger out of that. You understand? So there's no room for anybody to get angry with me about a crystal, about the way I pray, about the way I move. No, nobody can, anger does not exist in that. That's my sacral spot. That's where the power of God fall down in my life, right? When I'm doing these spiritual things. And you know why? I keep the Most High first. I don't give my power to nothing. Like, I don't give my power over to things that I work with. I don't give my power over to things that I learn. I don't give my power over to things that, you know, God allowed or revealed to me, levels that God take me to. I don't get to those levels and become reserved and all of that. No, it's still God first. And people that don't think like that, I allow them to serve themselves. I understand that it's a veil that they don't see beyond. I don't bother them. I let them be how they are. I know about the energy of the Most High. I rest with it. I walk with it. So I remove the anger, right? So there's no anger in it. I'm going to tell one of y'all, or two of y'all, three of y'all. It's a place in the Bible that says all things are lawful. Don't be mastered by none. And the biggest thing it says is there is no condemnation when you in the body. There's no condemnation. When you in the collective, it's no condemnation. The only condemnation is that the self-condemnation that you lay on yourself. That's due to lack of understanding. You know if you know what you are, right? Nobody should be able to come along and and shake your foundation. If they do that, you somewhere where you shouldn't be. You're not ready yet. You gotta take and shake your foundation. If they do that, you somewhere where you shouldn't be. You're not ready yet. You gotta take a step back, gather your burns, get your strength together because you will be beaten by let me tell you something. They got this man that come on the internet and he be like, they're sending me letters now about this person and that person. You know who I'm talking about? Yo, them kind of folk right there.
He be ready.
Listen, they gonna use.
Went off on his cousin.
They gonna use the biblicals. They gonna whip your spirit and tear you all the way apart. With the I be listening to him. He be tearing. He came for everybody. That man comes on and gets down. And I be listening to him. Then he be having the dude in the back. He be like, they're writing me letters. He be like, they sure is. I'll be like, yo, I said, yo, they got that thing mapped out. Right?
Okay. It's warfare.
But you have to, and I was telling her, see, things are spiritual. We all now, as a collective, we see things from a higher place than religion. See, we can look at even religious things and we can say, okay, that this is the spirit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I hear Bro Slim do that and he become, I know what spirit he moving in. I understand that's not the spirit of any God that I would want to serve.
Right.
That's going to do that right there. Because it's creating turmoil. It's creating mental health, you know. And I don't, no, you shouldn't, thank you, Spirit. You shouldn't want to exist in a place that's causing you mental health issues. That's not a good place to be. But some places are designed to do that. See, if I create mental health issues in you, right, your spirit is going to be divided. A house divided can't do what?
Can't stand. Okay, that's so real, you know. And if I create mental health problems for you, you come back to me consistently to look for a solution.
Every time,
right?
Back to back.
Okay.
It's a system.
There it is.
And who wants to be a part of the system?
Okay.
I don't want to be a part of that system.
We've already been domesticated our whole life, right? If you read the 4 Agreements, right, it talks about how we've been domesticated our entire life, right? That is over. O-V-E-R. I'm here to finish him. Like Mortal Kombat, that is over with. You know, we are stepping out. We are doing exactly what God is calling us to do. And so what? It looks unorthodox, right? So what? It's not traditional, right? So what? You don't know what I'm doing in my home, but God does, you know, because God knows the evil that goes on behind closed doors. And why should I feel bad about what I'm doing when I know that what I'm doing is probably more safe than a lot of people?
And you know what? God said, get him. So I'm going to get him. Listen, don't let the witches that, the witches that was in the spirit realm, and they went on the run, so they ran from spirituality to religion, and now they got a story about how everything you do is witchcraft, right?
Right, they love, that's the
Don't
new
listen,
trend.
Because you got to begin to ask them, well, what did you do?
Something that they felt like they couldn't get away from, so they had to run back to God, and now they want to get on, now they get on the internet and they proclaim to be, you know, this witch that found God. Well,
and everything now is witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
No, it's crazy. It's because, like, first of all, these are people who allow themselves to get separated from God. They did all type of things. They looked into people's lives. They did readings on people. They didn't balance their energy.
Spells, root work.
They did wrong things to people, and now these people, they get scared and they run. And they think that they doing God's work by telling you, oh, this is witchcraft. This is no. Again, what did you do?
I heard a lady yesterday. She sounds so ignorant. She was speaking about waist beads and how waist beads from Yoruba are, you know, demonic and all. You know, that's why it's so important for you to, like he said, you better stand for something or you will fall for anything out here. Because first of all, spirituality is a very it's not like a Christianity, or it's not like a Hindu, right? Spirituality, people have their own practices. So the world gets so caught up, they believe that everybody that wears a crystal, they worship crystals, they idolize things. I don't worship anything but the Most High Divine God, right? Yahweh. That's the only thing that I worship. You know, I give honor to things, right? It's okay to give honor to my ancestors. I know, you know, it's okay for me to feel proud when I do things that I know my grandmother is like, yes, girl, right? You know, when I know that I'm making my ancestors proud, it's okay for me to be like, yeah, right? Like that kind of energy. I don't pray to them. I don't praise them, right? That kind of energy. So be careful, because the world will have you out here. The world will use you, abuse you, spit you up,
spit you out,
and confuse you. Okay, that's what the world wants to do. It wants to confuse you so bad, you know. But you know what you're doing. You know what you're practicing. And I feel like at this point in time, it's not really for you to explain your spiritual practices. That is your sacral. You know, that's your sacral space. That's your sacral. It's very sacred, and I don't feel like you should be disclosing what you do to people. I don't feel like it's something that you have to explain. You know what your intentions are. You know what you're supposed to be doing. It is what it is, and keep doing it.
And you have to begin to understand at some point, right, in your journey that spirituality, the Most High, is very loving, but it's also very brutal, right? It's different things about spirituality, and some of them are very violent, and some of them are very righteous, indeed, right? You got to look at the history of some of the wars. Like I heard a man speaking yesterday about the execution of the Amalekites, and how if God was God, why would God destroy his own, his own people that was connected to the Amalekites were connected to the tribe of Israel somewhere along the line. So but you have to remember, that the Amalekites were also people that took up sorcery. And what they did is they began to perform human sacrifice. And, God forbids us to alchemize humans, right? It's not pleasant in the sight of the Most High, right? It's always been that way. Nevertheless, when the Amalekites chose to do that, God seemed fit to have to remove them, right? So, of course, Saul saying it like we did because he didn't understand the depth of the divine, right? So Saul said, well, why would I wipe out the children? Right? But what God didn't see and what Samuel was trying to tell him was those you got to kill. When you kill the big dogs, you got to eliminate the pups.
Right, because the
pups are going to grow up to be even more aggressive than their predecessors.
It's the seed, it's the seed, the tree bears the what does it say? The fruit.
Yeah, the tree is going to bear fruit.
Right? Okay.
So the seed, God was effectively wiping out the seed.
Imagine if imagine one of the children, the Amalekite children, growing up into a man, right? He's gonna have the same blood as the adults
had. That's exactly what happened.
Right? So
that's exactly
what happened. And then what happens? Destruction. So the whole bloodline has to be wiped out, which goes back to what we were speaking about earlier. A lot of us, our bloodline was supposed to be wiped out. Yeah, it's divine, right? But divine can be divine evil or divine, it can be of light or evil. There are beings that are divine that are evil beings, right? They came from a divine place, but they are evil. So, a lot of us came from these royal bloodlines, some of them divine, some of them not so divine. You have people that pick and chose their sides. And now it's like, God spared us because we could have been wiped out like the Amalekites, right?
Absolutely. And it's crazy, like even one thing I'm sitting here and I'm understanding as God is speaking to me, we have effectively looked at people like Jesus Christ the wrong way long enough. Like, you got to begin to realize that Jesus' relationship to Egypt was very strong. You know what I'm saying? And it was related to the mysteries, right? Like, he studied different things, the art of resurrection, telekinesis. These were the studies. And he did these in schools of Egypt and the area of Kemet. And Jesus was about ascension on many levels, like schools of Egypt and the area of Kemet. And Jesus was about ascension on many levels. Like, he just didn't walk off the face of the earth and become, transformative in that way. He studied for this advent. Like, this was something that is documented. Like, he studied in India, right? And even Mr. Crowley said, no greater magic than the magic he witnessed in India, right? So, it's things about this life that we are to learn. This was the ascension. This was the message of Christ and many others, right? It was about you being willing to see what's hidden from you. You being willing to step into God's power so that you could be formidable against a devil that knows the air. See, the Bible described the devil as the prince of air, and you know what that means? That means that the people that have knowledge of evil, they tap into a big collective source that knows damn near everything about everything, right? It's only one source greater. That's the Most High. So as long as you trapped up in the matrix and the system of things, you're never going to see like a Buddha or Muhammad or, you're never going to see like the true enlightened ones. As long as you allow yourself to be trapped up in systems is what prevent you from getting to.
That's real, because if we don't, if you don't know, if you don't really, if it's not truly resonating in your heart right now that this war is spiritual, then I advise you to, to really begin to open your eyes, your spiritual eyes, because, it says that these spirits, right, those fallen spirits, they were casted to the earth, right? We also know that evil roams the earth, right? So therefore, it's very important to understand that what we fight is spiritual. These spirits come in and they want to convince us to take ourselves on. They want to convince us that the work we're doing is not good enough. It wants to convince us that, it's better to do wrong than right. But you have to remember that it's spiritual, So, there's a lot of different people that carry the same spirits with them. So, there's no point in trying to fight a person. Begin to learn the spirit that's at work. The spirit, start addressing that spirit when it comes to you. If you have 6 people in your life and they all have that spirit of confusion, begin to address that spirit of confusion. Confusion, you're not welcome here, okay? Confusion is not of light. God is a God of love, a God of, hope and, things of that nature. When you're feeling confusion in the air, we already know that there's spirits here that want us in these places of confusion, right? So be careful. It's like, keep your spirit protected. Yeah. And that was your message. Accept or reject it. Yeah. But keep your spirit protected. That was your message, y'all. We love you guys so much. We hope that you guys enjoyed the live. I was so glad to get back this morning. I have been just not myself. I had my teeth pulled. I was sick. So it's been a lot going on. So thank you guys for being patient and just rocking with us. We plan to come back a few times today. All of the information is on our page if you like to help our channel grow. We truly appreciate you guys. Look, we are open the next 2 days. We have personal sessions available. All of our personal sessions are free. We just ask for a spiritual donation for our time. So if you want to tap in with us, our inbox is open. We hope that you guys have a blessed and beautiful day. And watch out, we'll be back this afternoon. Yeah. And we elemental beings trying to save the people from the pain and misery. And this life is not that hard. We be pulling all these cards while we healing all these scars. Everything real in the spirit. I'm trying to tell you how it is. I'm kind of hoping you hear it. It's like we elemental beings trying to save the people from the pain and misery. And this life is not that hard. We be pulling all these cards while we healing all these scars. Everything real in the spirit. I'm trying to tell you how it is. I'm kind of hoping you hear it. It's like some of us have angels, some of us have demons. The devil tried to do them off. The devil tried to do them off. He like, I'm in my zone. He in the zone. He in the zone. It's like everything real in the spirit. I'm trying to tell you how it is. I'm kind of hoping you hear it. It's like some of us have angels, some of us have demons. Yeah. And we elemental beings trying to save the people from the pain and misery. And this life is not that hard. We be pulling all these cards while we healing all these scars. You gotta heal to release the pain. The death called me, the reaper came. We're gonna heal to release the pain. We love you guys. off.